Steve, it's been almost a year since we announced that you were going to be taking the head coach job of Doncaster Knights, and what a year it's been. Now that we're in game week, how do you reflect on your first year in the job of head coach of Doncaster Knights?
I'd say it's been challenging, as you can imagine. It was always going to be challenging anyway, with a big turnaround in the squad and basically trying to re-establish the club, back to a sort of foundation of building back the club back to where it wants to be, and moving up to probably the upper end or the mid to upper end of the championship from where we've been the last few years. So it's always going to be a challenge. Obviously, the COVID stuff's brought a bigger challenge, but we've I think we've adapted fairly well. I think first and foremost, I think the staff, board members at the club, and the players have been fantastic. I said, they've made the job or the challenge easier than what it could have been anyway.
Yeah, let's dig into the squad makeup now. Of course, there has been a lot of changes. There's pretty much wholesale new coaching staff that you brought in, and about 70% of the squad is different from where we were last year. I think we brought the average age of the squad and probably the coaching staff down a good few years as well, and this was all very deliberate, I believe, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I think we wanted to look at, we're looking at a model of where we are as a club. We've got nowhere near the biggest budget in the league by a long shot. We're a mid-table budget at a push, and what we've got to do is we're going with an ethos really, and same on the coaching stuff. We're going with people that are ambitious to kick on to the next level. All the coaching staff want to coach at the highest level. All the players that we've got here, a massive amount of them have got the ambition to play at the next level. We've got a few older statesmen in there, which I think are really good, and they're in there for a reason. I think they're really good people to have in the environment. They're sort of we've got to keep. There's a lot of good stuff that goes on at Doncaster Knights, and they're people that can really drive those standards of what being a Doncaster Knights about. So the big thing was bringing the average age down. And also that fits, where we are, financially as a budget. We can't offer people life-changing money, but what we can do is offer them, a lot of, a lot of individual coaching. We can give them a lot of time, and we can put a lot into them to try and get them to the next level.
I think you touched on it a little bit there, the culture, the elder statesmen, the likes of your Matt Challengers, your Ben Hunters, etc. But of course, this place is ingrained into yourself as a player. You made almost 200 appearances for Doncaster Knights before returning as a coach. It's inbuilt into your DNA, and I imagine wanting to succeed with the club is a very personal thing for you, as well as a career-driven thing, if you like.
Yeah, no, I mean, I said that they both go hand in hand, but the first and foremost is, I think I've got an affiliation to the club. I've got a lot of friends in the area. I've got a lot of, I've got a lot of acquaintances at the club still, and I care about the club, it makes my job a little bit easier, if that makes sense. It's not just myself. There's a lot of people here that care about the club, but it was great to come back and see some familiar faces. And like I said, it's for career-wise, it's a great fit for me at the moment. And like I said, I think it's. Everyone in the organisation's got ambition to develop, and like I said, it's just great to be back really.
So let's talk about this year then. Of course, you mentioned the challenges of COVID, the moving timescales, and you're planning your first pre-season as a head coach, and one day it was starting in September, the next in October, the next in November, the next game in January, March. I guess it's been a challenge, but one that every time we seem to have spoke to you about, you said that adaptability has been the main theme, and it seems as if you've managed to implement that into what you've done so far. Yeah,
I don't think you've... obviously, a lot of people talk about adaptability in sport, business, whatever it is, and I'll be brutally honest, you haven't got a choice. So, it's one of those ones, it is a little bit adapt or die. There's so much stuff that's not a perfect world in sport right now, but, let's be brutally honest, we're unbelievably lucky to be in and doing what we're doing. We're unbelievably lucky to playing against, the quality of teams we're playing against in this tournament. So, you've got to just, it's one of those things, when you actually look at the deeper outlook on it, it's not that much of a big deal really. We've got a lot of other issues going on in the world at the moment, and we're happy to be in, we're happy to be cracking on.
Sure. So this Saturday, it's your first game in charge. I don't imagine you've had any issue motivating the boys and training this morning.
No, I think it's just great for us to have a focus. We haven't, you know, we've got a ridiculously small squad compared to the two sides we're competing against. That's not an excuse, it's a fact. It's just the fact that we've got to just try and do stuff a different way. We haven't done that much contact. I've done a lot of, you know, preparation for contact, and that's probably the biggest sort of work on that we'll have come throughout the game. And there's a lot of things that we're looking to try and tick off in these games without looking at the technical and tactical stuff, and that's probably touching on what we talked about earlier about rebuilding some of the club foundations. You know, we've got a really young side, and I think the biggest thing is a lot of wins we can get in these games that doesn't involve rugby technically and tactically, if that makes sense. I think there's you know, which, you know, the boys will talk about, you know, and the staff talk about, but there's you know, work rate, desire, hunger, you know, those sort of things. You know, I'll be really happy if we can show that in abundance throughout the games and consistently.
And for this season, I know when we talk about targets, you always have more of a focus on what you wanted to see. So whether it's desire, it's work rate, and is that what you want, and that's what you expect, and that's what you're going to benchmark yourself on beyond the Trailfinders Challenge Cup and into the Championship season when it starts?
Yeah, I think, you know, there's a lot of stuff. There's, you know, we talk technically and tactically about a lot of things, and we put a lot of detail into those bits. But let's be honest, there's a lot of foundations which if you don't have it, it doesn't matter what you do technically and tactically. Do you know what I mean? So it's probably that's a big part of it. I think it's a big driver for sport. Anything, you've got to care. And if you care, then I think all the other little minor details usually they'll start to come. So yeah, it's a big driver for us throughout this competition and throughout the year. Is really just you know, to put a little bit of back into the club and the community, and to show that we actually care about the club as players and staff, and show that we actually care about the community as players and staff. And I think if we can tick those off, I think that'll be a hell of a result. And if we do tick those off, I think most of the stuff will hopefully will look after itself. Do you know what I mean? But that's what I'd like to see. I think we need to build trust back between the club and the supporters.
Thank you, Steve.